Hello everyone and welcome to this evening's talk. As I said, I'm going to talk about how not to take things personally, but more importantly, why you shouldn't take things personally, okay? Because what you're actually doing to yourself when you do. So, when you take something personally, what you're actually doing is making it about yourself. Now, there's a guy, Don Miguel Ruiz, has written a wee book called The Four Agreements. I'll talk to you a wee minute about this. But he kind of describes it really well because he says, personal importance or taking things personally is the maximum expression of selfishness because we make the assumption that everything is about me. All right? And this is what I mean. When you take something personally, you make it all about me. Now, you cannot ever control anything that anybody ever does or ever says. But what we tend to do is we try to make it about us all the time. And you hear it everywhere. There's loads of stuff out there. People kind of go out of their way to be offended. They make it about them. Like, I was just thinking there recently, there was a while back there on social media, to seen a lot about women breastfeeding in public. Like, people were taking that, they were being offended by that. They were taking that personally. Okay? People take the weather personally in this country. Traffic jams and things, people take personally. All right? And when you take something personally, you're just literally annoying yourself. So don't ever take anything personally. And this is how you do it. Okay? When you take something personally, what you actually do is you feel the pain of it generally here. As a client said the other day to me, you get the nip. You feel the nip of it. So when you take something personally, you actually feel the annoyance of it first of all. But where the problem comes in is where you actually start to think about it. And I listen to a guy called Wayne Dyer quite a lot. And Wayne actually describes it very well because he says, you don't die from the snake bite. You die from the poison. Okay, you don't die from the snake bite, you die from the poison. And what he means by that is when somebody is really rude to you, that's the bite. You feel the pain of that, that's the bite, okay? The bite isn't what's killed you. It's when you start to go round and round your head in it. And you start to think about it and you tell people about it. You hear it all the time. Did you hear what they said to me? And you hear people talking about it and you just go round and round. And what they're actually doing is putting the poison through their system. And they pass that poison on to other people. All right? So, if you think about it, mothers will get this quite a lot because they've come in from their day's work, they're exhausted. And they're trying to get the dinner sorted so they can get out to get wee Johnny to football, whatever. And wee Mary Kate comes up and she goes, Mommy, look at my picture. And the mommy straight away goes, just get out of my road, I haven't time. Okay? She's been annoyed at work by something, coming home tired. And the child that wants to show her the picture has got the poison. Okay? So when you take something personally, it's because you think about it and go over it. That's what causes the problem. That's the poison. When I was coming through my stuff years ago, I was trying to get my head around this about, how you do it. And because I'm a very visual person, for some reason I seen it like an octopus squirting the ink. So when somebody would have said something or done something to me and I'd have got the poison, I would have seen sort of like the purple ink coming at me and then that going into me. And every time I thought about it or went over it, that ink was going through me, that poison was going through me. All right? And when you start to go through that, it's the head starts to go. And you hear it in people because they give you a real rant. So when their head has gone off in one, because they're going over it and over it and over it, by the time you see them, by the time they're saying to you what they need to say to you, it comes out like they're literally vomiting on you. So it's like you just get this whole massive rant. So years and years and years ago in management, I was actually taught, let people get this out of them, let them deflate before you go back to them. And I remember years ago when my son was young, I used to be involved with a football club. And I would have been doing umpire sort of under 12, under 14 age group. And at one of the matches, in one of the under 14 matches, we were playing another local team. And halfway through the first half of the match, somebody from the other side, they weren't actually playing, but they walked across the pitch with a broken leg. So I shouted at them to get off the pitch because they're not supposed to be on the pitch during the match. At half time, their manager came up to me, and he was one of those people came stood right there, right in front of my face, and shouted and effed and blind and roared at me. But I just stood there. Okay, I just stood there. I didn't acknowledge it. I didn't move. And when he stopped shouting, I just went, "Have you finished?" Now, that kind of riled him, so I got another whole load, okay? So can you see, like, the poison was going round and round, so I got whatever was coming out of him. So when he finished, I actually went, "Have you finished now?" But because I didn't rise to him, he had to go off. He had to go off, and literally he took it out to the boys. And when I turned around, the two managers that I was working with, doing the team with, one of them says, like, how did you not belt him? How did you not put your fist through that man? And I was going, that wasn't about me. Whatever's going on in that man's head, that has nothing to do with me. Because if you think about it, all I did was shout at a young fella to get off the pitch during the match because he was walking across the pitch with a cast on his leg. He shouldn't have been on it. And what I got was a whole load of abuse. Now, what generally happens is when people come at you like that, the ego mind kicks in and you go back at them. Okay, and you shout, and it ends up in a whole, shouting and roaring match. Just remember, no matter what anybody says or what anybody does, it is never, ever about you. Never about you. So no matter if somebody's coming up, no matter if they're having a go at you, or they're just being rude because they've walked in front of you in the queue, or they're just if you're standing at the photocopier and they're having a go at you because you're always there, whatever it is, it's never about you. So how you stop it is literally you do not give it airtime in your head. Okay? You feel the pain of it. So something as simple as meeting somebody in the shop and they just literally cut in front of you and jump the queue and you're in a hurry. You feel the annoyance of it, but it doesn't mean anything to you. So generally it might come out of there and you might say to somebody, "Oh God, your man in the shop there was a bit rude." But that's it. You don't give it the airtime. But if somebody close to you says something or does something that kind of really hits home, it's the same process. It just takes a wee bit longer. So what I tend to teach people is you feel the annoyance of it first. And when I started teaching myself years ago was kind of just to acknowledge that annoyance, that I went, no, I choose to feel good. Now that doesn't make you feel good. What you're actually doing is kind of just taking the edge off it, that you feel, you're doing it, okay? But it's tuning in afterwards to thoughts. It's tuning in so that you don't start to go over that and over that and over that. Because when you do, you're flooding your body with the stress hormones. All right? Now, and this is the reason why you should never take things personally. Because every time you go through that and you're putting the poison through you, you're releasing stress hormones into the body. When you release the stress hormones into the body, you're actually weakening yourself. You're weakening your defense systems. And I see it all the time in the clinic. I see quite a lot of people coming into me with physical pain. And the physical pain is exacerbated by the fact that they've been in pain for so long that they're getting stressed, they're getting annoyed about it, and they can't switch their mind off from it. So they keep flooding the body with stress hormones. And if you're the type of person who takes things personally all the time, can you imagine every time you go over that in your head, you're bringing yourself down. You're actually weakening your immune system, and it has to come out of you some way. It comes out and it's like there's 33 different neurophysiological disorders that they now identify. Between the tightness in the shoulders to rashes to all kinds of things. So this is why you should never, ever take anything personally. So when you realize that somebody has done something or said something that has annoyed you, what you're actually doing is actually making that about you. When what you should realize is it's nothing about you. It's never about you. It's about them. It's always about them. And when you're very content and settled within yourself, when anybody says anything or does anything, you'll kind of go, be able to just stand there completely, realizing it's not about me, let them get on with it. Okay? Now, when I teach this, a lot of people say to me, "Oh no, but that means you become a walkover." It doesn't. It means the exact opposite. Because when they literally get that out of their system, it's like they've got the vomit out of them. They've just cleared themselves. They go away and tend to settle themselves because they've got that out. All right? Now, you're left with that crap. If you choose not to go over it and over it and over it, you don't let the poison into your system. So when you do that, you can go away and you can settle yourself. Might take you a day or two if it's been really hurtful, but you can settle yourself. And when you settle yourself, you can go back to that person and you can speak from the heart. And there's a big difference between getting it from the heart than getting the rant from the head. And you'll know it. I mean, many of you, you know, when your mum, when you'd have been wee and your mum would have come in and she'd have shouted and roared at you until you get a whole kind of, you know, get in, get out of the room type, and you'd have got this. Okay, that's because she's been tired or whatever's been going on. You've got the whole big rant. But you also know when she came in and went, don't you ever do that again. Because that came straight from there, and that's when you go, right. That's the difference, okay? So it's to stop this poison in you. You become very strong, very settled, and very confident within yourself. Even if you have to go back to that person with your voice shaking, you know, you can't nearly hold it together because it's so difficult to go back to say to somebody, don't you ever speak to me like that again. They'll get it. But because you've spoke to them after they've had the rant and let it out of them, they will actually be deflated and they will get it. Because if you go at them when they're ranting at you and you rant at them, it'll just go into a whole big heated debate and both of you go away filled with the poison. Both your heads are going. All right? So, when you get this, when you realise that when you're very settled and content within yourself, no matter what anybody says or does, it's never about you. And it's equally the same with a compliment. Now, it's really nice to hear a compliment. It's lovely to get it. But when you're content and settled within yourself, you don't need the compliment. You know what I mean? It's because you know you're okay. You know you're content within yourself. You don't care if your hair is grey. People mightn't like that. And that's what I mean. People get offended by the simplest of things. People and people say all kinds of things to you. Oh, people come out with all, have you lost weight? The amount of times people have said to me in the last few years, have you lost weight? And in the last couple of years, my weight has gone from like 9.5 stone till 11.5. And even at my heaviest, they're still going, have you lost weight? People will say all kinds to you and not even realise, that they could be annoying you, okay? But when you actually step back and look at it and go, do you know what? That's about you. If you want to shout and roar and rant at me, that says a lot about you. I'll leave it with you. And what I used to do years ago, when I'd have felt like the poison was coming at me, in my mind, I was kind of going like this and I'd thrown it back at them. But all I actually did, the only gesture I would have done to them was, I'll leave it with you. But literally I was throwing it back at them, throwing the poison back at them because I wasn't taken into my system. Okay? Now, the best book, I've sent you the best book in all the years that I've been doing this and going through this, the best book that I've ever come across is this one. It's the 4 Agreements. All right? And the second agreement is all about don't take it personally. It's a brilliant wee book. The first, when you open it up and read the first section, it's all about Mexican Toltec beliefs. You don't need to understand that. You don't need to know it. You can just read through that. The first agreement is about be impeccable with your word, which means you always speak your truth. And that just doesn't mean about speaking your truth out to people. That's about speaking your truth inside your own head. So that's about being aware of your thoughts and don't let your head run away with you. Always speak your truth. The second one is don't take it personally. And as I say, out of all the things I've come across, all the books I've read, that one's the best at explaining this. The third agreement is never make assumptions. Because when you make assumptions, you go off wee stories in your head as well. And the fourth one is always do your best. So if you want to do if you do sort of take things personally quite a lot, get this wee book. You know, you can get it on Amazon for a penny nowadays, right? Get the wee book and read it. It's actually the best description I've ever come across. All right. Now, so the simple rules are basically feel the annoyance. When you know you've been annoyed, acknowledge it and literally go, right, you know, but choose to feel good. You don't feel good straight away, but it's just the acknowledgement of it. Then it's tuning into your thoughts and choosing not to think about it. Don't go holding that rant. Because when you bring yourself down, you settle yourself, then you can go away and think logically about what you're going to do and what you say. And you leave it at that until you see the person again or you get into that situation again, and then you can say it. Okay? Hope you find that very helpful. Like last week's video, I'm going to put this up on YouTube. And if anybody has any questions or things, just send me a private message. And if you find it useful, just let me know. Give me a bit of feedback. I'd appreciate it. But I'm going to do these wee sort of videos every now and again, and I'll post again what I'm going to do and what I'm going to do the next one on. But it'll be useful to get your feedback to see does it help. All right. Thanks for watching. All right. Good evening. Bye.